What if history's most infamous serial killer suddenly appeared in our world today? Imagine the mysterious figure known as Jack the Ripper, whose brutal crimes terrified Victorian London in 1888, unleashed in a modern city with smartphones, CCTV cameras, DNA testing, and instant news coverage. Would he still be able to hide? Or would today's technology finally solve one of history's greatest mysteries? Let's dive deep into the chilling scenario of what if Jack the Ripper struck in modern times. To begin, let's rewind. Jack the Ripper was never caught. He terrorized the Whitechapel district of London, leaving behind victims and taunting letters, yet he seemed to vanish into the fog of history. Over 130 years later, his name still sparks fear, curiosity, and debate. Now imagine this same figure somehow transported into the present day. Would his methods be the same? Would his motives adapt? And most importantly, would he be caught almost immediately? Or could he still outsmart even our advanced society? Jack the Ripper's London was dark, overcrowded, and filled with poverty. The narrow streets were poorly lit, the police force lacked coordination, and forensic science barely existed. This environment gave him cover. Fast forward to today. Modern cities are filled with surveillance cameras, GPS tracking, and rapid communication. Social media spreads news faster than newspapers ever could. If Jack tried to stalk the streets of New York, London, or Tokyo in 2025, the entire world would know about it within hours. But would that stop him, or just make him more dangerous? Picture this. In a bustling city, news breaks of a mysterious murder with eerie similarities to the Ripper's crimes. The media immediately picks up on the historical connection. Social networks explode with theories, hashtags trend worldwide, and amateur detectives start piecing together clues from their laptops. Unlike the 1800s, the modern Ripper wouldn't just be a local threat. He would be a global phenomenon, his crimes live-streamed in real time by the public. That intense spotlight might force him to adapt, choosing more secluded areas or using technology himself to mislead investigators. Now let's talk about the police. In 1888, Scotland Yard had no DNA analysis, no fingerprint databases, and no digital tracking. Today, investigators have CCTV networks that record movements across entire cities, DNA profiling that can trace identity from the smallest sample, cell phone tower data that can map a suspect's location, facial recognition that can scan thousands of people instantly. If Jack struck today, forensic experts would likely collect evidence from the crime scene that could identify him within days, or even hours. A stray hair, a drop of sweat, or a footprint could end his reign of terror almost immediately. But here's the twist. What if he prepared for this? A modern Ripper might wear gloves, hack surveillance systems, or exploit blind spots in technology. Could his cunning keep him one step ahead? One of the most terrifying parts of the original Ripper story wasn't just the killings, it was the fear. People felt helpless. They saw shadows as threats, and rumors spread like wildfire. In today's world, fear would spread even faster. Social media would magnify the panic, with conspiracy theories, fake sightings, and mass hysteria. The modern Ripper wouldn't just be a killer, he'd be a viral phenomenon. News channels would run nonstop coverage. YouTube and TikTok would fill with theories, breakdowns, and supposed evidence. The Ripper's shadow would stretch far beyond the city he struck. It would haunt the entire world. Here's the million-dollar question. Could Jack the Ripper survive as a criminal in 2025? Most likely no. With modern forensics, global communication, and advanced profiling, law enforcement has cracked cases far more complex than what Jack left behind. A modern Ripper would face almost impossible odds of remaining free for long. But what if he wasn't working alone? What if the Ripper in modern times used the dark web, anonymous communication, or even manipulated followers to act on his behalf? Suddenly the game changes. He wouldn't just be one man, he'd be a movement, a network of shadows operating in plain sight. Another fascinating angle is how we, the public, would react. In 1888, most people simply read about the crimes in newspapers. Today, people would try to involve themselves directly. Online communities would analyze crime scene photos, compare details, and attempt to outsmart detectives. Some might glorify the Ripper, turning him into an anti-hero, just as certain criminals gain cult followings online today. Others would use the moment to demand stronger surveillance and harsher laws. Society itself would transform under the weight of fear and the desire for safety. Eventually, almost every scenario leads to Jack being caught. Whether through DNA evidence, a digital footprint, or sheer global attention, it's hard to imagine him escaping justice in today's hyper-connected world. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if he were caught, the damage wouldn't just be in the crimes. It would be in the fear he spread, the way he manipulated media, and how he forced society to confront its vulnerabilities. In some ways, the legend of the Ripper would become even more powerful in the age of technology. So what can this what-if scenario teach us? Technology is powerful, but not perfect. Even with advanced tools, criminals can adapt. Fear spreads faster than facts. The internet can magnify panic in ways history never imagined, and legends never truly die. Jack the Ripper may be long gone, but his story shows how crime, mystery, and human psychology are forever linked. So what if Jack the Ripper struck in modern times? Chances are he wouldn't last long in a world filled with surveillance and science, but maybe that's not the point. Maybe the true power of Jack the Ripper lies in how his legend still captivates us, over a century later. And perhaps the scariest question isn't whether he could survive today, but whether another figure inspired by him already walks among us. Would modern society catch Jack instantly, or would he still find a way to slip through the cracks?